what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on TV1. Bringing you the news, I am Hashni Pathirana.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President delivers new government's policy statement in Parliament. IMF agreement to be inked this week.
මේ ආර්ථිකයේ මෙහෙවීමේදී සියුම් හැම තැනක්ම හරියට කල්පනා කරලා බලලා සංවාදයට ලක් කරලා අපි තීන්දුව ගත යුතුයි. ඒ අනුව අපි ජනාධිපතිවරණදී මහමැතිවරයා ජනතාවට පොරොන්දුවක් දුන්නා. මේ ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදලත් එක්ක එකඟ වී තිබෙන පැරාමිතීන්ට අනුරූපී වන පරිදි අපි මේ ආර්ථික අසුරන සූදානම් බව.
Dr. Ashoka Ranwala elected Speaker of the 10th Parliament. US Ambassador assures Foreign Minister of Investment. Independent MP sits on opposition leader's seat. Former ministers record statements at CID over human immunoglobulin transactions.
අමාත්‍යංශය වගේ කියන්නේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ලේකම්වරයා සහ ආයතන ප්‍රධානියා මේ මත විශ්වාසය තියලා තමයි මම අත්සන් කරන්න වෙන්නේ.
10 arrested in Nagoda with stocks of drugs worth over 5 billion rupees. ICC issues arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister, former Defense Minister and Hamas military commander.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has announced that the agreement for the next tranche of the IMF program will be inked this week. He stressed that there is no margin for error in managing the nation's economy, addressing the inaugural session of the 10th Parliament this morning. The President emphasized the need for careful consideration of every aspect when making economic decisions.
The current economy leaves no room for mistakes. Therefore, every delicate aspect must be carefully considered and addressed in economic management. We have realized that in a country bound by an agreement with the International Monetary Fund, breaking that agreement offers no path forward. Accordingly, during the presidential and general elections, we pledged to the people that we would manage the economy in line with the parameters agreed upon the IMF. Currently, we are operating several initiatives. However, the elections caused a delay in commencing the third review. Immediately after the general election, the IMF delegation arrived in Sri Lanka on the 17th of November. Extensive discussions have been underway since then. We hope to sign a staff-level agreement with the IMF this Friday, the 23rd of November. This marks a crucial step in our ongoing journey with the IMF.
The President emphasized that at the time of assuming office, commitments for debt restructuring had already been undertaken.
There is no point in debating whether the restructuring proposals are good or bad, or weighing their pros and cons. This is the reality we are facing. A common agreement has been reached on bilateral loans, and we are prepared to enter into separate agreements with each country accordingly. Additionally, we have reached an initial agreement on borrowing from the international sovereign bond commercial market. We hope to complete this process by the end of December.
The President outlined 3 key characteristics of the new government's economic strategy: rapid growth and expansion of the production of goods and services, inclusion of the people in the economy, ensuring their active participation, launching a program to fairly distribute the wealth generated among all citizens.
People from every province and ethnicity have come together to build this government. For a long time, the political structure in the country was fragmented, with political camps formed along provincial, religious and ethnic lines. The ultimate outcome of such political camps is a deeper division among the people, creating distrust and doubts. If racism becomes part of a political party's agenda, the inevitable result will be the emergence emergence of racism among its opponents in response. However, people of all races from every region placed their trust in us and granted us the power. What we expect is multi-party principles. We accept the change of policies. The people of this country, whether they voted for us or not, are all citizens. As a government, it is our responsibility to address their needs, and we are committed to doing so with accountability. People have fulfilled their role. Now it is our duty to honor that trust by fulfilling our part.
The President emphasized the importance of protecting the trust and respect of Parliament.
This mandate entrusts us with responsibility to protect the honor and supremacy of Parliament and provides the opportunity to instill good practices within it. Support to restore the integrity of Parliament. This Parliament must become one that passes the test of the public in the coming years. I count on the support of the Speaker and the newly elected MPs to achieve this.
Here are some other key policies presented in the President's inaugural speech. Steps to establish an efficient state sector service in the country, a fair wage increase, measures to increase Aswesum allowance and allowance for the purchase of school supplies, measures for infant malnutrition, a nutritious diet for pregnant mothers, encouragement of small and medium-scale businesses, creation of capital markets, a complete re-establishment of the embassy service.
We have no immediate need to present a budget. We plan to introduce an interim budget at the beginning of December to manage the next 4 months. A comprehensive budget proposal will be presented by early February by the aim of passing it by March. The practical implementation of policies will be outlined in this budget.
President Anura Kumara Disanayake reaffirmed his commitment to creating a free and democratic country free from fear and doubt.
A recent example we can take is the decline of trust in the legal system. To build a better nation, the rule of law must be firmly established. As a government, we are bound by law and no one in authority is above it. We have no desire to seek revenge or target anyone. We firmly affirm everyone's right to engage in politics freely. However, if we allow controversial crimes to fade away with time, it would be a betrayal of the people's trust. I assure you that the perpetrators of such crimes will be held accountable and justice will prevail.
The President also outlined details about the Clean Sri Lanka initiative.
A good citizen invests effort into cultivating positive attitudes, and that is the essence of the Clean Sri Lanka initiative. Today our society has become dry and detached. It needs rejuvenation. A society that smiles, shows affection towards others, and is rich in human qualities and energy should be created. We aim to transform society in this way. We have launched this initiative with a focus on every aspect, not just one.
This is how the President concluded his inaugural speech.
Martin Luther King once said, quote, "A darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that," end quote.
The inaugural session of the 10th Parliament of Sri Lanka convened this morning to appoint the new Speaker, Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairman of committees. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya nominated Dr. Ashoka Ranwala as the Speaker of the 10th Parliament. Minister Vijitha Herath seconded the nomination. Dr. Ashoka Ranwala was unanimously elected as the Speaker of the 10th Parliament.
R.A. අශෝක සපුමල් රංවල වන මම ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රික සමාජවාදී ජනරජයේ ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව ආරක්ෂා කොට අනුගමනය කරන බවට ගෞරවාභිමානයෙන් යුක්තව ප්‍රකාශ කොට ප්‍රතිඥා දෙමි.
Dr. Ashoka Ranwala, an executive member of the National People's Power, contested the parliamentary election from the Gamba district, securing 109,332 preferential votes and was subsequently elected to parliament. Dr. Ranwala, a graduate of the University of Moratuwa, holds a PhD in biochemistry from the Waseda University in Japan. He has been an active trade union leader and has served as a member of the Western Provincial Council on 2 separate occasions. After the appointment of the new speaker, the members of parliament took their oaths.
I would like to congratulate you on your appointment as Speaker of the 10th Parliament. It is well known to all of us that you are exceptionally qualified for this role. Throughout your political career, you've demonstrated a steadfast commitment to serving the people and upholding a clean and ethical political culture. It is truly a pleasure to see you take on this historic role in Parliament.
පිරිසිදු දේශපාලන සංස්කෘතියක් වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටපු පුද්ගලයෙක් හැටියට මේ ඓතිහාසික පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුළ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක ධූරය පත්වීම පිළිබඳව අතිශයින්ම සතුටට පත්වෙමි. කතානායකවරයා හැටියට
On behalf of all of us, I extend my best wishes to you as you step into your new role as Speaker. I trust that you will carry out your duties in full accordance with the Constitution and in a way that ensures the Parliament functions effectively and smoothly for the benefit of all. We all stand with the people who voted for change in this country. I feel it's important to emphasize one point here. As we look back on our history, I sincerely hope that the proportional representation system will continue to provide a platform for every party, no matter how small, and for all communities to have a voice in the decision-making process.
වගේම සුළු ජනතාවන්ටම ඒ අවකාශය ලැබෙනවායි කියන එක පිළිබඳව අපි නැවත වාරයක් මතක කළ යුතුයි.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරුනි මෙම උත්තරීතර දසවෙනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක
I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude and appreciation to each of you for electing me to this position of the Speaker of the 10th Parliament. I also wish to acknowledge the kind words and support from the political leaders, and I am truly honoured to serve in this capacity.
තීම පිළිබඳව දේශපාලන පක්ෂ නායකයන් විසින් සිදු කරන ලද සුභාශිංසනයන්ට මාගේ ප්‍රශංසාව පිරිනැමීමටද මේ අවස්ථාවක් කරගනිමි.
Following Dr. Ashoka Ranwala's appointment as Speaker, Dr. Rizvi Sali was elected as the Deputy Speaker. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa proposed his name and Minister Saroja Savitri Paulraj seconded it. Minister Sunil Handunnethi nominated Hemali Veerasekara as the Deputy Chairman of Committees. Her name was seconded by Saman Maliguna Singha. Following this, the session was temporarily adjourned. Parliament reconvened at 11:30 a.m. after President Anura Kumara Dissanayake arrived at the parliamentary complex. As the President entered Parliament, he was welcomed by the Speaker, the General Secretary of Parliament and other officials. The President delivered the government's policy statement shortly afterwards. A traditional tea party organised by Parliament took place at the parliamentary complex following the President's address. Ministers and members of Parliament, along with special invitees for the day, attended the tea party. During the event, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung was seen engaging in cordial discussions with Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Hera.
Thank you for all your calls for continue to support everything that you're doing. Very, very happy. This morning I talked to the diaspora and I told them that your government we're going to sit down with all the diaspora in America. I said, come to Sri Lanka, have it best, come back. I said, if your government
Ministers and members of Parliament were also seen engaging in cordial discussions at the event, regardless of political affiliations.
29 new deputy ministers were sworn in before President Kumara Dissanayake today.
The newly appointed deputy ministers are
Professor Anil Jayantha was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Namal Karnaratne as the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Wasantha Piyatissa as the Deputy Minister of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment, Nalin Hewage as the Deputy Minister of Vocational Education, R.M. Jayawardena as the Deputy Minister of Trade, Commerce, Food Security and Cooperative Development, Gamagedara Dissanayake as the Deputy Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, T.B. Sarath as the Deputy Minister of Housing, Ratna Gamage, the Deputy Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources, Mahinda Jayasinghe as the Deputy Minister of Labour, Aruna Jayasekara was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Defence, Arun Hemachandra as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment, Anton Jayakodi as the Deputy Minister of Environment, Mohammad Munir as the Deputy Minister of National Integration, Engineer Eranga Veeraratne as the Deputy Minister of Digital Economy, Eranga Gunasekara as the Deputy Minister of Youth Affairs, Chaturanga Abesinghe was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development, Engineer Janitruwan Kodithuwaku as the Deputy Minister of Ports and Civil Aviation, Dr. Namal Sudarshana as the Deputy Minister of Women and Child Affairs, Ruwan Senarath sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, Dr. Prasanna Kumara Gunasena as the Deputy Minister of Transport and Highways, Dr. Hansaka Vijayamuni as the Deputy Minister of Health and Mass Media, Upali Samarasinghe as the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Development, Ruwan Chaminda Ranasinghe as the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Sugat Tilakaratne as the Deputy Minister of Sports, Sundaralingam Pradeep as the Deputy Minister of Plantation and Rural Development, Attorney Sunil Vatagala as the Deputy Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Madhura Senaviratne as the Deputy Minister of Education and Higher Education, Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma as the Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, and Dr. Susil Ranasinghe as the Deputy Minister of Lands and Highways.
In more news coming from the Parliament, a heated confrontation arose between a parliamentary official and Dr. Ramanathan Arjuna when he took a seat traditionally reserved for the opposition leader. Dr. Ramanathan Arjuna entered Parliament this time around as a representative of an independent party from the Jaffna district.
කොයිවත් ලියලා නැහැ. මේක හරි මේ විපක්ෂ නායක මට හතර පස් පාර කියන්න බෑනේ. මේක කොයිවත් ලියලා තියෙනවා නෑ අද එහෙම නම් කරන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කිව්වා. ඔව් එතකොට ඕන දෙනට වාඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. මේක විපක්ෂ නායකතුමාගේ සීට් එකේ. එහෙම කියලා ලියලා තියෙනවද කොයි හරි? ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් පෙන්වන්න මම නගිනවා. තව පුටු ගියක් තියෙනවද? වාඩි වෙන්න කියන්න. තව පුටු ගියක් තියෙනවද මෙතන? වාඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. සම්ප්‍රදාය වෙනස් කරලා තමයි තියෙන්නේ අපි. අපි සම්ප්‍රදාය වෙනස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට මොකුත් කරන්න බෑ. මම තාම ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂද විපක්ෂද කියලා තීරණය කරලා නැහැ. මම ස්වාධීනම ආවේ. මම ওই පොලිටික්ස් කරලා ආවේ නැහැ ඇතුලේ. මේකේ කොහෙර ලියලා තියෙනවද මේක මේ විපක්ෂ නායකයෙක් කියලා ලියලා තිබ්බොත් අපි නැගිටිනවා. ලියලා තියෙනවා.
News First with the people.
Authorities have uncovered large quantities of drugs at 3 locations in the Gaul and Mathura districts today. The drugs, valued at approximately 5 billion rupees, were seized during a raid conducted by the Mathura Division Criminal Investigation Unit.
The Mathura Division Criminal Investigation Unit acted on intelligence and arrested 6 suspects in Gandhara. During the investigation, they identified several others involved in the operation. As the investigation continued, 3 more suspects were arrested in Mount Lavinia and Ratmalana. The suspects revealed that the drugs had been hidden in a house in Nagoda, which led to a raid by the Mathura Division Criminal Investigation Unit. During this operation, 1 more individual linked to the smuggling ring was arrested, bringing the total number of people in custody to 10. Police said that the seized drugs included 160 kilograms of ice and 60 kilograms of heroin.
This drug trafficking operation is estimated to involve around 5 billion rupees. While addiction to these drugs is increasingly becoming a serious issue, it is important to recognize the immense financial scale of this illegal trade. According to the available data, drug dealers are currently pushing over 5 billion rupees worth of drugs onto the market.
The Acting Inspector General of Police visited the office of the Superintendent of Police to commend the officers involved in the successful operation.
I believe this is the biggest drug bust we've seen in recent times, along with the arrest of the suspects. This operation was carried out by the Criminal Investigation Unit of the division, marking the first time such a unit has led such an effort. The police's main goal is to conduct large-scale operations and make arrests. At the same time, they work to identify the individuals involved and the drug networks they are connected to, with the aim of apprehending everyone in the network and taking legal action against them.
Meanwhile, the police special task force seized more than 3 kilograms of ice during a raid on a house in Pugoda. The operation also uncovered 11 million rupees, and authorities linked the drugs to a smuggler named Mahavatte Chamara, who is believed to be hiding in Dubai. At the Bandaranaike International Airport, the Police Narcotics Bureau also seized 1.9 kilograms of ice from an Indian national arriving from Bangkok. The drugs were concealed in the suspect's luggage.
I believe the Sri Lanka police have made some important arrests today. We've been able to carry out major operations with the great efficiency. Our strategies and methods have helped us execute these operations effectively. Even if they haven't received much media attention, we've successfully brought those responsible for recent crimes to justice. In all but 2 cases, suspects have been arrested, and legal action has been taken to ensure they face the consequences according to the law.
3 former cabinet ministers were summoned to the Criminal Investigation Department today to provide statements about the cabinet paper that facilitated transactions, including the distribution of the substandard human immunoglobulin.
Ramesh Patirana, Roshan Ranasinghe and Prasanna Ranatunga, who were part of the cabinet of ministers that approved the cabinet paper, appeared before the Criminal Investigation Department today to record their statements. As per the court's directive, all ministers who were part of the cabinet are expected to record statements in the future.
When the decisions are made in the cabinet, we rely on input from various government officials, including those from the Ministry of Finance. We don't have any issues with the decisions made on this matter. There's an ongoing court case, but we are happy to provide any assistance we can from our side. The cabinet works on collective responsibility. There's a specific process for submitting cabinet papers, and we've clearly said that this process was followed. Presenting a cabinet paper involves a complex procedure. The ministers trust the information presented by everyone involved. That trust is the foundation for making decisions. We acted based on the situation at that time. Following the cabinet's direction, there's a process within the ministry, and if there is an issue with the information provided, the ministry takes responsibility for it. We trust the secretary and heads of institutions. That's why I signed.
Chairman of the United National Party, Vajra Abewardena, has denied the claim that Ravi Karnanayaka's name was submitted to the Election Commission for a New Democratic Front nationalist seat after informing former President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Vajra Abewardena made this clarification in an official statement.
Chairman of the United National Party, Vajra Abewardena, has refuted claims that the former President Ranil Wickremesinghe was informed beforehand about the submission of Ravi Karnanayaka's name to the Election Commission for a national list seat. He also rejected claims that an agreement had been made to allocate one of the national list seats won in the parliamentary election to a candidate nominated by the New Democratic Front. He called this statement baseless. In his statement, he clarified that during a meeting of party leaders held under Ranil Wickremesinghe's leadership on the 16th of November, it was decided that discussions on the national list seats would take place on the 19th of November.
Across Sri Lanka, there are countless families facing challenges we don't always see. Families who always dream of safety, security, and a better future.
For many, the dream of a stable home is just that, a dream. Today, let's take a look at the story of one such family from Hambantota.
In a quiet village in Hambantota, Sandamali and her family live in a house that's slowly falling apart. The roof leaks when it rains, the walls are cracked, and the door doesn't close properly. It may not be much, but it is home, or at least it is supposed to be. She works tirelessly, But the little money she earns is never enough to fix the house or provide a safe environment for her 2 children. For years, Sandamali and her husband did everything they could, but it became clear that something had to change. And fortunately, change is exactly what came their way. Thanks to Guma, Sri Lanka's most impactful rural development movement, Sandamali's family is about to receive a new home. This dream has become a reality made possible by the generosity of people like Mrs. Metzali Ulrich, whose financial support helped make the project possible. Though she is no longer with us, Mrs. Ulrich's kindness lives on in this new home. Her gift has brought real, lasting change to Sandamali's life and the lives of her children. Guma, for the people, by the people.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Generators for long-term rent. Multiways Engineering Private Limited.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD, a symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. The Tun Hela Janagi Kalya, which won 3 awards at the International Folk Music and Folk Dance Competition at the International Loi Krathong Festival held in Thailand, arrived in Sri Lanka yesterday.
The Thundhela Janagi Kalya returned to Sri Lanka yesterday, celebrating a remarkable victory at the International Loi Krathong Festival in Thailand. The talented group, consisting of 43 members, triumphed over 14 teams from 11 countries to secure 3 prestigious awards: Best Performing Group, Best Local Costume Design and Hero of the Tournament. A large crowd of the group's relatives gathered at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake to give them a heartfelt welcome.
Up next is the corporate brief.
A blood donation camp named Donate Blood to Save a Life, organised by the Lions Club of Galkisa in collaboration with the National Institute of Business Management, was held in Colombo today.
This project today is something that will benefit many people in the future, because the blood bank requires blood all the time, and only by donating blood that we can ensure that the stocks of the blood required for emergencies and for all purposes are available at the blood bank. I think it's an ideal combination or collaboration for the organizational ability of the Galkisa Lions Club to be used with the assistance of the human resources at NIBM.
The blood donation camp was organised with the aim of gathering life-saving blood for the National Blood Bank, ensuring a steady supply for those in need across the nation.
The International Criminal Court have issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister and former Defense Minister, as well as Hamas's military commander.
A statement said pre-trial chamber had rejected Israel's challenges to the court's jurisdiction and issued warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. A warrant was also issued for Muhammad Deif, although the Israeli military has said he was killed in an airstrike in Gaza in July. The judges said there were, quote, reasonable grounds. The 3 men bore, quote, criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity during the war between Israel and Hamas. Both Israel and Hamas have rejected the allegations. The Israeli Prime Minister's office condemned the ICC's decision as anti-Semitic, while Hamas said the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant set an, quote, important historical precedent, end quote. It will now be up to the ICC's 124 member states, which do not include Israel or its ally, the United States, to decide whether or not to enforce the warrants.
John Prescott, the former Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom under Tony Blair's Labour government, has died aged 86.
I've spent 22 years as a Member of Parliament watching Tory governments wreck this country.
The former British Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott has died aged 86. His family said quote-unquote, spent his life trying to improve the lives of others, fighting for social justice and protecting the environment.
These lads are getting 6 bob and 7 bob an hour. That's even if they give us what we've got.
The former trade union activist and ex-merchant seaman had Alzheimer's and died peacefully, surrounded by relatives at his care home. Prescott was a key figure of Tony Blair's New Labour project, seen by many as custodian of the party's traditional values in the face of a modernising leadership. Over a parliamentary career spanning more than half a century, Prescott served for 10 years as Deputy Prime Minister after Labour's 1997 general election landslide.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you and good night.